Okay, it's 5 o'clock.
All right, I call this organizational meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. It's 5 o'clock, and our Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 governing board members are present in here. With that stating, I will then, let's see, we're moving on to Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hayes, would you lead us, please?
Sure thing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Ms. Susan Fobian,
Present.
Mr. John Hayes,
Here.
Mr. Rene Ramirez,
Here.
Mr. Brad Beach,
Present.
and myself, Joel Kramer. All members are present. Subject B, adoption of the agenda, Mr. Verdugo.
No changes, just wanted to note that there was a revised agenda, just so we had a couple of e-pars and things that we needed to get done, so I just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that revised agenda.
All right, thank you for the explanation. With that said, do I hear a motion then to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
All right, motion passes. Call to the public. We have no call to the public. All right, move on to number 2, organizational actions pursuant to ARS 15-321 and 38-431. Subject A, election of board officials, consideration and possible motions. Mr. Verdugo, did you want to give any insights? Or?
So again, this is our annual organizational meeting, so we'll be electing the president and the clerk. And our policy states that when the president is not here, that the clerk would then take that position. So that's why we have both positions. So it is up to the board to nominate, and so it's, then once the president is elected, then they would take over the meeting.
All right. Well, in the past then, I guess the floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Mr. John Hayes.
We have a nomination for Mr. John Hayes. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We got a second. Any discussion on Mr. John Hayes being nominated? No? All right, then we'll do with a roll call on this. Nomination for Mr. John Hayes, starting with Ms. Phobie.
Aye.
Aye for Ms. Phobie. Mr. Hayes.
Aye.
Aye for Mr. Hayes. Mr. Beach.
Nay.
A nay for Mr. Beach. Mr. Ramirez.
Nay.
A nay for Mr. Ramirez. And I will vote nay, so the motion does not pass. It's back to being open.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion to nominate Joe Kramer for another term as board president.
There is a motion for Mr. Brad Beach,
I second.
and there's a second for Mr. Rene Ramirez. Open for discussion.
You know, Mr. Kramer, you've been on the board more years than I. Under your presidency, we have had 2 major open meeting law violations. I am sorry, I just cannot support you being president again. It is painful when there's open meeting law violations because that is an offense to the community.
With that, thank you. You're always entitled to our opinions. I don't need to respond to anything, do I? Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to say that I think that you have done a fine job and that I really believe you have a strong presence of mind. I feel that you have a lot of experience, bring a lot of experience to the table. You brought a lot of cheerfulness this past year, and you listened to all of us very intently. I thought you did a fine job, Mr. Kramer.
All right.
I'm not 100% certain that conducting a meeting correctly can outweigh a lack of knowledge of open meeting law. You have your voting block, you will of course
I think
win.
Mr. Ramirez still had the floor,
Yeah, I did,
Ms.
and I
Foley?
wanted
It
to say,
sounded like he was over.
but you interjected.
I am so sorry.
I also, well, regarding that, Ms. Bogan, I mean, there was once where you walked out of a meeting, and so it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black here. You walked out of a meeting right in the middle of the meeting. I think that's pretty offensive to the public as well. So, I don't know. I think Mr. Kramer did a fine job. I think that he brought a lot of cheerfulness to this meeting and fairness that was lacking in the past.
Are you done?
I am
Thank
done,
you.
sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Floor is back open. For any further discussion?
Just one item, Mr. President. I would like to put out there that we do have a unfortunate tendency, based on the record, to always elect the same people all the time. And I think for better understanding, better boardsmanship among all board members, it would be better if there was a little more rotation within the system.
No, sir. All right. Any further discussion?
Yes, I like to say that I see Ms. Newman on here tons of times. So I don't think that that has any bearing on what goes on. I think that whether you're qualified and whether you do a good job is what counts the most, not the number of times that you've been on there.
I guess the other thing I'll say is, add to this, is that what I saw from ASBA is, and maybe for this next year, this calendar year, that they recommend having a discussion prior to this organizational meeting. So those that want to vent on subjects or topics or people or their responsibilities or anything to that effect, I think it'd be maybe good for this, or healthy for the board this year, is having that, probably in December or November, certainly. I think that maybe will, to air the grievances or whatever we want to say it is, and certainly probably may be productive. That's just my opinion as one person. All right, with that said, any further discussions? Hearing none, then we'll do another roll call vote, starting with Ms. Bovian.
No.
Ms. Bovian, nay. Mr. Hayes?
Nay.
Mr. Hayes, nay. Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
Mr. Ramirez, aye. Mr. Beach?
Aye.
Mr. Beach, aye. And then I will vote for myself, aye. Motion passes 3-2. All right, with that said, we move on now to the election of board clerk.
I'd like to nominate Brad Beach.
There's a motion for Mr. Brad Beach. Do I hear a second?
I'll go ahead and second.
Mr. Brad Beach seconds it. Any discussion on the clerk of the nomination of Mr. Brad Beach?
I can only say that, again, open meeting law to me is really important. And I know that when we had that meeting in July, Mr. Beach never brought up anything being out of line concerning it. So I am not certain that as clerk, he has a clear understanding of open meeting law. But again, you've got your voting block. He will win.
Any further discussion on the nomination for Mr. Beach?
Yes, I think that Brad Beach too has brought a lot of cheerfulness to the governing board. I think that he's very smart, sharp as a tack, and I think a lot of us here have never served in the military, and I have the greatest respect for that, and I think that he not only embodies the best of our community, but the best of our country. He's a good person. He's bright. Yes, he's only been with us for a year, but I think that he'll do a fine job. And everybody has to start at some point. And I think Brad will do a fine job in representing us as clerk.
I will say that, don't underestimate Mr. Beach's intelligence, because I think he's very intelligent. I think that he, I'm not referring to you, but okay, I'll look over here. And Mr. Beach, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to everyone in general. That he's very qualified. I've worked with him for many years. I've seen insights to him. He's given a lot of good insights. He keeps it fresh. If he doesn't know something, I know he gets to be well versed in it. There were things that I was surprised that a lot of the teachers didn't get, that Brad did his research and he got it right away and he was able to explain what was transpiring. So I know that what he probably doesn't know now, I guarantee he'll know in a short term, because he is, as you said, a military man, and he's a very articulate person as well.
That is.
So I'm done what I had to say.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
Have the floor,
I'll
please.
say one thing, if I can. Thank you for the nomination, and, I'm gonna agree with Mr. Hayes on this one, that the only way I can gain experience is to actually do the position and learn the position. And I guarantee you, as clerk, I might make future mistakes, but, that's the nature of the game, and I keep an open mind and I'm willing to learn. So that's all I got to say right now. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I have the floor?
Yes.
I'd like to say that Mr. Beach also brings experience to the governing board as from being on the fire board. So he does bring that experience here. And I think that that's invaluable. And that brings quite an angle to things. And he's not just, I take it back, he's not really green when it comes to running things on a board. I believe you've been, Brad, even the president of the fire board at one point.
Yes.
So he does brings that experience as well. And I think it's good in a small way. I agree with Mr. Hayes. And maybe the change is good for the clerk here. At any rate, I think he would do a fine job. He's a good person. And I think the community respects him very much. And I think they would be very happy to have Mr. Beach as clerk.
Any further discussions or comments? Yes.
I do not want in any way to infer that Mr. Beach is not intelligent or a high-quality human being. He is all of those things. I am far more worried about things happening the way they're supposed to happen for this board. I do not like open meeting law violations. I feel very strongly about them. So that is my concern, strictly.
And I think we all agree that open meeting laws are certainly a very good concern that we should have. And if we do and when we have open meeting laws, we certainly want to be responsible for that. Correct? And I certainly, with the guidance of Mr. Verdugo and our legal team, we certainly have helped us in case we do get into that situation. With that said, I don't have any more to say. Anybody else? Mr. Clerk, where are we at right now? Your last duty as a clerk. What's the next step as your last clerk? What are we doing?
Take it to a vote unless there's no more discussion.
All right, thank you for your clerical duties.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
With that
And
said,
thank
I'll
you,
do-
Brad, for nominating me last year. I appreciate it very much.
With that said, I'll do a roll call vote again. Ms. Fobian?
No.
All right, that's a nay from Ms. Fobian. Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
An aye from Mr. Hayes. Mr. Ramirez?
Aye.
An aye from Mr. Ramirez. Aye from Mr. Kramer. Mr. Beach?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-1. Congratulations, Mr. Beach. You are now the clerk.
Thank you.
All right, we move on to subject B, designations of meetings for calendar year 2022. Organizational lines pursuant to ARS 15-321 and 38-431. Action, discussion, and information. Mr. Verdugo.
Right, so we transferred the previous year's calendar over for 2022, and the dates are listed, as well as it is the continuation of the second and fourth Tuesday, if that works for the board. Again, that is a recommendation, but again, it is up to the board. If there are any conflicts or things that they would like to adjust the calendar, we can discuss that and make any changes as needed, but the recommendation is to keep it that way. I think that the community knows when we have our meetings, and staff, families, so I think it would be prudent of us to continue, but if there are any issues with it, again, we would like to hear that as well.
Floor is open for discussion. Mr. Hayes?
Yeah, I know one date on there I probably will have to be telephonic, and that'll be May 24th, because right now it looks like I'll be in Florida for a conference, doing a presentation. And I do have a little bit of concern over the dates for November. Specifically, they are Election Day and the week of the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And so those might be a little.
Yeah, and what we can do tonight is we can approve those, and then I can go back and review, and then we can adjust any, for instance, I think we adjusted because of the winter conference.
Right.
We have only one meeting in December, so we can look at that and see if there's any events or things and then make that adjustment, so.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned that there could be, given some of the past recent history, on Election Day, there could be some issues that we have to worry about, and then on Thanksgiving, it's literally 2 days before the actual holiday, so that.
Yeah. And then we had that this year, I know as well, and so what I would say, maybe we have one meeting in November.
Yep.
And try to adjust it, so I can bring back after we approve this and then
Sure.
have that.
Yeah, no, I just want to
Perfect.
put that out there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hayes.
And Mr. Hayes, just so, May 24th, you're telephonically, you're still attending a board meeting. I don't know where it is if you're not here in person, you're telephonic meeting, you're still attending. So, that's certainly you're not missing by any means by saying that. Telephonic meetings are not missing a meeting.
Well, I know that,
Well, I
Mr.
know.
President.
I just wanted to clarify. All right, any other discussions or comments about the calendar? All right. Hearing then, do I hear a motion to approve the board meeting schedule for calendar year 2022 as presented by Mr. Verdugo?
So moved. Second?
Motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, locations of posting board meeting notice. Organizational meeting pursuant to ARS -15321 and 38-431 is to approve the posting sites for board meetings. Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. Again, we go above and beyond the posting. Generally, there's only 3 sites or 2 sites that we would have to post, but we, again, post at a variety of places, including now electronically. We reach numerous individuals, so our recommendation would be to continue with our posting as presented.
Okay, we're going to discussion on the postings. I just have a question since I've been on this board a long time. Do we haven't got any fallback from not posting to that, have we?
No.
So,
We had one question, and we made sure that it was updated in locations and that they were able to get that.
very good, we just want to make sure that they are, we always are right along there with that community as well. Very good. And then do I hear a motion to approve the official posting sites for board meeting notices as presented?
So moved. Second?
Motion is second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes 5-0. Subject D, board meetings via conference call of other technological means pursuant to ARS -15-321 and 38-431. Mr. Blue.
Thank you. Again, this is to allow us to have telephonic meetings or virtual meetings as we have seen in the pandemic that were necessary. And just a note, we'll be doing the board renovation will allow us to have more virtual meetings as needed coming soon, hopefully sometime this spring. So the other technological meetings would then also encompass that virtual ability as well. So I just wanted to notify the board of that as well. So the recommendation is to approve as presented.
So when you're saying that, that means that, well, I guess this is the question again. If we could do that, that means we probably could have then board meetings at other locations in the district? Is that,
Yes,
in different schools, hosting them and things to that
Yeah.
effect?
we could.
With the technological gains, correct?
Yep.
Okay, it's something it's always sometimes good for principals to show off their schools too.
Yep.
Right, okay. All right, so do I have a motion to allow members to attend meetings via telephonic or conference call or technological means?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just along the lines of what Mr. Verdugo was saying, hopefully the improvements will include the ability to pick up each of the microphones separately, because I do know that when you're on telephonically, the further away somebody is from the pickups, the harder it is to hear what's going on.
Yes, we're working on all of the technology issues that we have, including sound. Thank you.
All right, any other? Hearing none, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Number 3, consent, approval of consent agenda. Motion to approve and accept and ratify the consent agenda as presented by Mr. Verdugo.
I think this was an item again that we have revised just because we had some recent hires to approve so they would start, as well as an overnight travel for Coach Stern to attend the national convention. So we wanted to, and that occurs before our next formal board meeting, so we wanted to make sure that we approve that if possible. So the recommendation would be to approve as presented. Thank you.
Any matter of the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda item and discussed as a regular agenda upon the request of any board member.
I'd like 2 e-cars. So moved.
All right, item number 2 is going to be removed for discussion. So then we're voting for just number 1. And I got a question for that, Mr. Stern, that is attending.
Yes.
Is that something, that's a major conference, and he was invited to attend,
Yes, and he'll be doing some networking and presenting as well.
presenting as well?
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you. All right, then do I hear a motion to approve item number 1 of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
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 All right, passes 5-0. Item number 2, approval of personal action request, e-cars.
Yes, it was just a technicality, Mr. Verdugo, because like on here, as I was reading them down the line, I was thinking, well, you know, like for certain ones, they have $12.80, right, and then $12.80 and then $30, etc. But like, you have one that says 1,000, then 1,416, but like some are, it's not really, the ones that are $12.80, it's understood, I think. It's kind of a tacit thing that it's per hour, but it doesn't really state it on there, you know what I mean?
So if you look above,
What does it?
on the form, it says
I'm
rate or amount, rate/amount. So the rate is the hourly rate, or the amount would be.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. That's all I had, it's just a small thing, so I get you. And I'm sorry, I apologize
Okay.
for the interruption, I apologize, Mr. President, should have read it better, but thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
I got you.
Did you get the hard copy?
No. I'm good.
Okay, do I hear
Thank
then?
you.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Do I hear a motion to approve the personal action request, e-cars?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 4, adjournment of this meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, please acknowledge by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed and those not voting. Adjourn.
Aye.
So 4:01. Thank you. This meeting is closed at 5:24 p.m.